Hello students, welcome to a lesson through the virtual training center of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher, and in this lockdown period, since we are not able to go to school children, we will be doing many lessons here online through the virtual class. So come on, let's proceed to our lesson for today.
Our lesson for today will be a lesson in Standard 9th. Subject will be English and the topic is somebody's mother. Now, as you can see on the screen for you, it is a story about an old woman. Okay, in the poem, the poetess has tried to tell us a story about an old woman. It is also a story about how a young boy who doesn't even know this old woman comes forward to help her when she needs his help. So it is a story about empathy, it is a story about kindness, and it is a story about helping someone in need. Okay, now usually children, when we do a lesson here in English, what we do is we try to read the lesson. If it is a poem, if it is a story, then I try to tell you the summary of the story. Okay, we also do a certain exercises which are before the lesson, that is a warming up part, and after doing the lesson we do some parts of the English workshop, that is the exercises which are part of your lesson. So today also we will be following the same sequence. So let us first start by doing some exercises from your warming up part activity. So here we have certain exercises in vocabulary. So vocabulary means exercises related to your knowledge of words. So let's see what is in store for us today. So we have an exercise based on word sets. Now word sets means when a few words are written together. Now you have learnt about sets etc. in mathematics, isn't it? So what is a set? When a few things which are somewhat similar are taken together, it is called as a set. So in a word set also you have words which are taken together and which are somehow related to each other. So let us see what are the words and how are they related to each other. There are a few examples which we will do together. Now children, before I start any exercise, I have a small instruction for you. So this is a format where unfortunately we cannot interact with each other. Okay, I cannot ask a question and wait for you to answer it. Now it is not good also for you to get everything ready made. Okay, so I would advise you that when we start an exercise, you look at one or two examples and then you pause the video and try to find out answers to the other examples yourself. So in that way, our exercise will be successful and you will be able to add to your vocabulary. Okay children, so let us come to the first exercise based on word sets. We have two exercises based on word sets here in this particular lesson. This is the first one that we are doing together now. So the first word is pleased. Now see, pleased means it is a positive emotion when you are, somehow liking what is happening around you. So pleased. Now, if you go a little bit higher, if your emotion becomes a little bit stronger, from pleased, you will go to happy. Okay? If you are little more than happy, then you can say that you are joyful. And if you're very, very pleased, then you can say that you are ecstatic. So see how the intensity of the emotion has increased. So in the first stage you were pleased and then you became happy, then you became joyful and finally you were ecstatic. Okay, so it shows lowest order of the emotion and highest order of the emotion. So this is a word set which is showing you an emotion and its various stages in the ascending order. Let us look at a few more examples. So see, you have letter. Now here this letter means letter of the alphabet. So you have 26 letters of the alphabet right from A to Z. So the letter. After letter you have word. Okay. So what is a letter? A letter is one single unit. Word means what? When you write a few letters together, It is a word. So a word is a set of letters. You write some words together, you form a sentence. When you write some sentences together, you get a paragraph. So see, from letter you go to word, from word you go to sentence, and from sentence you go to paragraph in the increasing order. Let's look at one more example. So you have infant. Now when I say infant, it means a small child. So you know now that you are supposed to go in increasing order of the stages in our life, in the human life. So after infancy, that is after you become an infant, you become a youth. Then you become an adult, and finally you become aged or you grow old. Okay? Next you have cool. Now this is regarding the temperature. So let us see whether it is getting hotter or it is getting colder. So yes, we have after cool we have chill. Yes, so it is getting colder. When it is when the temperature is like you can say pleasant, you say it is cool. When you start feeling the cold, you say it is chill. After chill, it becomes cold. After cold, it becomes freezing. So you become very uncomfortable. Okay, when it is cool, you're comfortable. When it is freezing, you're very uncomfortable. Next, bright, you have intelligent. So someone who's clever, you say he's bright. If he is more than bright, you say he's intelligent. If he's more than intelligent, you say he's brilliant. And if he's more than brilliant, then we call him as a genius. Last set, let us see a mound. Now a mound means a little portion of the land which has got a very slight height. Okay, a portion of the land which is penetrating a little bit above the ground level. So that is a mound. Something which is taller than a mound, you will say hill. Something which is taller than a hill, you will say mountain. And finally, you have the peak, which is at the highest of the points. So this is an example of word sets where you prepared 6 set of words which are all related, but they are in different orders of increasing or decreasing intensity. Okay, children? So this is one exercise. Let us go to the next exercise now. That is also an exercise related to vocabulary. So see here, you have to prepare word chains. They're given you the idea. So they're given you the idea of rain, of wind, of sunshine, water body, size and size. Now here one size is when you go from small to big, and the other size is when you go from small to in the opposite way. So see, rain. Rain means precipitation, any kind of water which comes down to the earth. So rain. So when it is raining very slightly, we say it is drizzling, drizzle. When the rain is heavier than drizzle, we say it is shower. Then you say pour, and then finally you say deluge. So when the rain is very slight and you feel that there is no need to open your umbrella, you say it is drizzling. Okay? So when it is drizzling, it is okay. But when you say it is a deluge, it means it is really going to cause some sort of destruction. Look at wind now. So you have breeze, and then you have whiff, you have a drought, and finally you have gust. So gust is strong wind, wind at its strongest. Sunshine. So when it is warm, you're comfortable. Then it becomes hot and you start getting uncomfortable. Then it becomes sultry, and finally you have scorching, which is not bearable at all. Okay? Let's talk about water bodies now. So pool. Pool means a small body of water. So what do you think? What will be the next water body in size bigger than a pool? It is a pond, and then you have a lake, sea. Okay? Now what about size? Now it is going from big to huge, from huge to enormous, and from enormous to gigantic. Finally, when you go to the size and you go on the rivers, so you have small, and then you have tiny, and you have minuscule, and finally midget. So we have prepared 2 sets, you can say, of word sets. One was the word set, the other is the word chain, but the basic idea is the same. When you try to form such word sets, you have to sit with a dictionary, you have to look around, you have to search for words. What are you doing in one way or the other? You're making your vocabulary richer. Okay, you're improving your knowledge of words, and that is what we wanted to do when we were doing these particular exercises. Now your warming up part is over, and you will see that many of the words that we have used here on this page, as well as the words which we have used on the previous page, you will see most of them in the poem when you read it. Now let's go and do the main part of the lesson. Let's read the poem. Let's try to understand the meaning of the words in the poem and also the main idea of the poem. Before that, we will look at who has written this poem. So this poem was written by this lady called Mary Dow Brine. She was an American poet who lived from 1816 to 1913. She was a poet, a poetess you can say, or a poet who used to write poetry. She was an author. Author means she used to write books also. And she was a lyricist as well. Now what is a lyricist? Who's a lyricist? A lyricist is a person who writes songs or who writes wordings for the songs. Okay, so that is a little bit of information about our poetess for today. Now let's go into the lesson and let's try to read the poems, the stanzas individually, and try to understand the meaning of not only the poem but also the difficult words there. So, the woman was old and ragged and grey and bent with the chill of a winter's day. Now, this is about somebody's mother. So, we are talking about an old lady. We're not talking about a young mother, like I showed you the picture in the beginning of the lesson. So, this somebody's mother is not a very young person. She's quite old. And see what is her condition? Her condition is also not very good, as you can read from the poem. The woman was old and ragged. Now what does a ragged mean? A ragged here means very shabby. That means the clothes are not very good. The clothes are torn. Okay, she's not very neatly dressed. She's not a very pleasant sight to look at. And grey. Grey means her hair is all gone white. And bent with the chill of a winter's day. Here chill means cold. So now you see how our warming up exercise is connected to our poem. We are looking at words from the warming up exercise over here. So it was cold, it was a winter's day, and I told you that the poetess is an American. So here the situation describes not our country India, but it describes America, where in winter it is very cold and the streets are full of snow. We do not see that situation here, not at least in Maharashtra. Okay, the streets were white with recent snow and the woman's feet with age were slow. So the streets were white, there was snow everywhere, there was ice everywhere. And the woman was walking very slowly because she was an old woman and there was less strength in her feet. At the crowded crossing, she waited long. Now she waited because she wanted to cross the road, but the place was very crowded, jostled aside by the careless throng of human beings who passed by her, unheeding the glance of her anxious eye. So she was waiting at a place which was very crowded and people were jostling her aside. So here jostling means they were brushing her aside. So they were not bothered about her. Who was brushing her aside? The people in the careless throng. Throng means crowd. Okay, so there were a lot of people moving around on the streets and no one was bothered about this poor lady who was somebody's mother. Of human beings who passed by her, unheeding the glance of her anxious eyes. So she did not know people, she did not want to talk to people. She was looking at people with a lot of expectation in her eye, but people were unheeding. Unheeding means they were not paying attention to her at all. Alright, so this was very unfortunate. Now let us see what unfolds and what happens in the next part of our poem and story. Down the street with laughter and shout, glad in the freedom of school let out. So you all know, all of us go to school. Now in this lockdown period, we are not able to go to school. So we really want to go back to school, isn't it? We are anxious. We are waiting to go back to school. But just imagine and just think of an ordinary school day. The moment the school bell rings at 1 o'clock and you have to go home, there is a big shout in the school, isn't it? In the same way, there was a big shout because the school had just got over and all the children were happy that they were free. Came happy boys like a flock of sheep all together. So many boys, they came running out, hailing the snow piled white and deep. So they started playing in the snow. They were happy that there was snow. Past the old woman, so old and grey, hastened the children on their way. So the children were very happy. And you know, children like you do not think too much of other things. You think only about your studies and your playing and watching TV, playing games on the computer. So you're not very much aware of the other things around you. So same way, these children also hastened. Hastened means they rushed or they hurried. They wanted to go home. All right. None offered a helping hand to her. No one offered to help her. So weak and timid, afraid to stir, lest the carriage wheels or the horse's feet should trample her down in the slippery street. Now, this lady was so weak and she was so timid. Timid means she was so weak and she was so quiet and she was looking so poor and she was very, very scared also. She was afraid because she thought that if she tries to cross the road and if she falls, then the horses will trample her under their feet. They will crush her under their feet. So she was waiting somehow so that she doesn't get trampled. Trampled here means crushed. And the street was full of snow, it was full of ice. So you know that people tend to slip on the ice. So this was the condition of the poor lady. She was waiting at the crowded crossing and no one was willing to help her at all. Okay. Then what happened was, at last came out of the merry troop the gayest boy of all the group. He paused beside her and whispered low, "I'll help you across if you wish to go." At last there was one boy who was the gayest boy. Gayest means he was the happiest boy of all the group. He saw her, he paid attention to her, he heeded her. Okay, he went close to her and he asked her, "Do you want to cross the road? If you want to, I will help you." So see, that is why I told you in the beginning of the lesson, this was about helping others, it was about kindness, and it was about empathy. Empathy means trying to understand the situation of others. So her aged hand on his strong young arm she placed, and so without harm or hurt he guided the trembling feet along, proud that his own were young and strong. Then back again to his friends he went, his young heart happy and well content. So what he did was, he took her hand, her old, frail, aged hand in his strong arm, and without hurting her, he slowly, gently guided her across the road. And he was feeling so happy that he was young and strong enough to help this old lady in need. After he helped her cross the road, he went back to his friends and he was happy that he could do some good deed, he could do something good for someone. Finally, in the poem, you will see she's somebody's mother, boys, you know. For all, she's aged and poor and slow. And someone, sometime, may lend a hand to help my mother, you understand? If ever she is old and poor and grey, and her own dear boy so far away. So see, when he was helping the old woman, he was doing it out of love for his own mother. Because what did he say? He said that the other boys might have made fun of him. So he explained to them that, see, she's old, she's poor, and she's slow. And you never know, tomorrow there might be a situation when my own mother becomes old and I'm not there to hold her hand. So someone might lend her a hand and my kindness will be repaid. So somebody's mother bowed her head in her home that night, and the prayer she said was, God be kind to that noble boy who's somebody's son and pride and joy. So the lady in turn was praying for his well being. That means if you do anything, if you help someone, you surely get their blessings. Okay, and these are the blessings which are the good, you can say, collections, or the good, you can say, wealth of your life, which will help you in your bad times. So, children, this was a long poem. We have read the entire poem and I have tried to explain the meaning also to you. And I hope I was successful in doing that. Okay, so let us look at this image where the old lady, somebody's mother, she's gone back home, and you can see how really old and tired and frail she is. And she's praying for the well being of this young boy who helped her on that particular day to cross the road. Okay, children. So this was about the poem, and we read the poem. We did some warming up exercises also before the poem, and you saw how the warming up exercise was related to the contents of the poem, isn't it? Now let's move on and let's look at one quick glance at the meaning and what the poem wanted to tell us. So it was a winter evening. An old woman was waiting to cross a busy road near a school. She was a lone woman, although she was very old. So she was old, but she was lonely. Suddenly, children came out of the school as it closed for the day. They passed the lonely old woman, but none paid any attention to the old lady. One of the boys, very cheerful and lively, saw this lady waiting to cross the road. He ran to her and helped her cross the road. Later, he explained to his friends that one day his own mother could be in a similar situation and that someone else would help her. At home that night, the old lady prayed for the boy who had helped her cross the road. Her heart was overflowing with gratitude and pride. She prayed, God, be kind to him, somebody's son. Okay, so this is about doing something good without expecting anything in return or without any intentions. All right, children. So that was all about the poem. Let us talk about some exercises in the poem now. They've asked us to find out the rhyming words in the poem. So we have already done what the meaning of rhyming words are. We know what rhyming words are. So let us go straight to the exercise and let us see what are the rhyming words in the poem. So you have grey, which rhymes with day, snow, which rhymes with slow. Now again, let me repeat the instruction which are repeated in the beginning of the lesson. We have come to this exercise where you're supposed to find out the rhyming words. So what you can do is, you can halt the video here and find the rhyming words in the poem and then play the video and check whether your answers match with mine. Long, throng, by, I, sheep, deep, her, stir, feet, street, harm, arm. Okay, so you all know what are rhyming words. Alliteration is one figure of speech we have learnt about, and at that time I've told you that alliteration is when you repeat the beginning or the first sounds of the word. The opposite idea is rhyming words when the last sound, that is the last sound in the word, matches with the last sound in the next word. Okay, so you can once again see grey day, snow slow, long throng, by I, sheep deep, her stir, feet street, harm arm. Alright, children, so this is one exercise about rhyming words. Now this is the last exercise. You have to pick out lines from the poem that help create images of the following in our mind, and you have to write them in the table. So I have directly picked up the image from your textbook. It will be easier for you to understand. Now what are the lines from the poem which create an image of the old woman in your mind? So read the poem once again and try to see which lines or which words in the poem make you imagine what the old woman might be like. So we have lines like old and grey. So the moment you read old and grey, you think about a woman who's old and whose hair is gone grey. And then you have, after old and grey, you have feet were slow. So she walks quite slowly. And then you have weak and timid. So these are the words or lines in the poem which help us to form an image of an old woman. Then you have the street. So which are the lines in the poem which help you to create images of the street? So you have streets were white, snow piled, and slippery street. Okay, so you get an idea of how the street would have been. It is a street on a winter's day. So it is white, it is piled with snow, and because it is piled with snow, it is slippery also. So when you read these lines, immediately when you close your eyes, you will be able to see this kind of a street which is white, covered with snow, and also where you will tend to slip. Now the third is about schoolboys. So I need not even show you the lines. You know how schoolboys are. So schoolboys are laughter and shout. They're always laughing and shouting. Okay, because they're always happy. And then you have happy boys. Okay. And finally you have merry troop. Here merry troop means a happy gang of boys. Okay, children. So these were all the exercises that we have in our lesson for now. So what have we done today? We have done the lesson Somebody's Mother. We did some word exercises or exercises related to vocabulary. We read the poem. I tried to explain the meaning of the poem to you. We looked at a number of difficult words in the poem along with the meanings. And then we did some exercises related to the lesson.
So children, wasn't that a wonderful video? And did you enjoy watching it? So if you want to watch more such videos in future, then please like this video and also subscribe to our channel, the MCGM Portal for Education, and also hit the bell button so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video here. Thank you so much for now. Let's meet again soon.